back, everyone. My name is Meg Kruger. I'm the content specialist with Pioneer Athletics. And today I have the absolute honor to host and moderate our Women in Turf panel discussion. Today, I'm excited to present some of the best and brightest in our industry with the goal of advocating not only for the turfgrass world, but for women in turf and women in leadership roles in our industry. So I'm excited to introduce some of our panelists, starting with Nicole Sherry, Director of Field Operations for the Baltimore Orioles, Abby McNeil, Citywide Field Superintendent for Denver Parks and Rec, Chrissy Seegers, Assistant Professor and Extension Turfgrass Specialist with Texas A&M, Sun Rosalind, Stadium Manager with North Area Athletic Complex, Morgan Cretan, Assistant Superintendent for Woodside Golf Course, Maureen Kaihu, graduate student at Penn State studying turfgrass pathology. So thank you so much for being here, ladies. I'm excited to get started. Alrighty, so the first question for the group is, how has the industry evolved in the past several years, let's say 5, and where do you see it advancing in the next 5? Nicole, since you're already unmuted, I'm going to start with you on that one.
I feel like the industry has advanced in a ton of different ways, like through the science and technology that we utilize on a daily basis, as well as, you know, just the networking alone has come a long way too, with social media and how a lot of turf managers are engaging in critical conversations that shape our careers.
And Chrissy, from your end, you're on the research side. What do you think is really going to be coming to the industry in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I was going to talk about some of the things Nicole said. So thanks for talking about the technology. You know, in research, we have so much more ways to collect data, right? We have so many different instruments these days. But, you know, as for the future of research, I think we're seeing a lot more interest in research from a lot more of our students. And so I think that's very exciting. I was just looking at something that Devin Carroll did from University of Tennessee. I know that y'all have probably read that, about the hope for women in the turfgrass industry. And I was looking at some of the percentages of people involved, and I wrote some of them down. You know, in the Sports Turf Managers Association, there's only 104 out of 2,400 basically that are women. So that's about 4% of women. And in the academic world, we only have about 65 out of 385, so about 16%. So we are seeing some increases. I mean, that sounds like a low number, right? But we are seeing some changes in the industry, and I'm seeing a lot more women be interested in doing research. And so that's really exciting for sure.
And that's our whole, goal with a campaign like this, is to really not only advocate for the industry, but advocate for women to be able to picture themselves in the many different opportunities that are available in the turfgrass industry. And a lot of that, happens through mentorships and conversations. So Maureen, I'm going to pose the next question to you, since you are currently a graduate student. Why do you think mentorship is so vital in an industry like ours? And how have you benefited from mentorship?
I will say mentorship is most important because the industry is hard. It's tough for women to get in. Well, it's also tough for men, but more so for women because of the traditional thinking process that most people in the industry have. But like we said, it's becoming more open. So if you get the right person to guide you through the entry and to know how to handle yourself or how to carry yourself as you get in and as you advance, it helps a lot to take away some unnecessary stress you might impart on yourself, simply because you think maybe you're not as good or you're not worthy to be there as much as the other people in that.
Definitely. And Nicole, this industry is so intertwined, and I'm constantly finding people that have crossed your path along the way. You know, they've either been an intern of yours or you've served as an inspiration for them. So what is mentorship? How does that really play a part in your career, and why do you find it so important?
Well, I think mentorship stems from, how you're brought up in this industry. What is the why? Why are we doing this for a career? What is our passion? What is our goal for the future? And every time I cross paths with any individual that shares that same passion, I share my why. I share, what I hope to accomplish in my career, and hope that it kind of, rolls down the mountain to like what they want to do in their career, so to speak. But I don't know. I feel like, just being honest and open about, maybe the struggles that I've come through or challenges I've had to face in just like the job alone. And being honest and open about that with the interns that we have, or people that I have conversations with on a daily basis, really just inspires people to keep going, I think, and maybe want to pursue something better in their respective careers. I don't know. I mean, I think mentorship is important, and anytime that we can share information or knowledge in what we do on a daily basis is huge for our industry.
And Sun, I would love to hear your perspective on, mentorship, and really maybe a piece of advice that you were given along your way that has kind of played a role in your career.
Sure. So as far as mentorship goes, yes, as you're going through school or you're starting out in Turfgrass, there's no classes about being a female in a male-dominated industry. And there are many challenges that we face that are different. So I think it's important to have, especially a female mentor for female, young people. So you can talk about like, hey, how did you get through this situation? Or how did you handle this? Or, even, I don't know, I'm pretty critical of myself. So I'm always like, hey, am I wearing the right color shirt? Am I, projecting the way I feel like I'm projecting? Am I putting forth the image that I really, truly want to portray? And those things are so important, I think, to keep in mind along the way. And it's nice to have somebody to kind of bounce those ideas off of, like, hey, do I wear a jacket today? Like, am I okay in a polo shirt? Just making sure that you're portraying exactly what you want to portray as far as mentorship. It's nice to have somebody to chat with about that. As far as, advice along the way, man, there's been so many things from day one. I've started out in minor league baseball, and it's still drilled in my head, stay off the edges. Super simple, just for, on a daily basis. But just to keep going, like grass is resilient. Try something new, and to stretch your comfort zone, I think, is probably the biggest one that's hit home for me in the most recent years, is to step out of my comfort zone and try and do something I'm not all that comfortable with. So
one of the best pieces of advice I have been given, it was by Darren Redekop, and it was, be impeccable with your word. Although you might not remember everything you say, they will. So if you don't hold yourself accountable, if you don't take notes on what you're saying, dreams, hope, wishes to the staff, they're going to learn not to trust you because what you say doesn't come to fruition. So if it's something that you're willing to have leave your mouth, it's something that you should hold yourself to, and you'll have a better working environment if you can do that.
And those are just little tidbits of advice that are good for anybody's walk of life. So I love that you shared that. I found so much in this position that you can learn so much from, diving deep into individuals who are a part of a certain industry. And I'm just really lucky to work with you guys, because you guys are one of the most passionate industry, I would say. I mean, you have to be passionate and driven to be successful in this industry, at least from my perspective. But Abby, I'm gonna take the next question for you. What is one of the biggest misconceptions you believe the general public has about your job, your role? In your position, you're working directly in some of the communities right in the city. So what do you think some of those misconceptions are?
to me, the biggest misconception across my entire career has been that somebody else can do a better job than we can. Coaches, athletic directors, and parents. I don't know how to lump them all together. I've had plenty of conversations with coaches where, they think they can do my job better than what I can do. And that to me is the number one misconception from where I'm at. Doesn't matter what level. In the general public and doing them with our citizens, it's the same thing. I mean, they don't think we should restrict play on fields and in parks. And, how can we have nice spaces for everybody if we don't have some parameters around it? So, the concept that everybody has a front yard that they think that they can do better than us. And I was like, then here, have it. Go manage the schedule you just gave us. Go practice 45 minutes and run it into the ground the morning of a big game, and then want it to be perfect when it's game time. So that to me would be, the one big misconception is that they can do a better job than us.
I think it's probably that we go and mow grass. Until I worked at the current course that I'm at now, I hardly mowed grass. You manage people, and you need to understand that you have to continually develop and educate yourselves on people more so or equal to the amount that you continue your education on grass, because every generation is different. Every time you go and hire a new wave of people, they are all different. You have to learn to be a leader. So this job is not just going in and mowing. As everyone else knows within this, there's a lot that goes into turf. And I don't necessarily need to tell a bunch of turfies what the misconceptions are, but I think that that's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. And I think that's a great perspective. Because it is something where, everyone has some patch of grass maybe that they look after, and, they have some type of schedule or whatever they're managing. So it would be very easy to look at this and be like, I could handle that. Or, one thing I saw out of Christo Wallace's corner in Cincinnati, the groundskeepers were putting down conditioner on the field, and they got it on the broadcast, like the radio broadcasters who watch baseball and consume baseball and talk baseball every single day. We're literally questioning why they were putting kitty litter on the field. So it's just like, no matter what, I feel like you guys are going to come across, people that are going to question you and, maybe doubt your practices. And then to take it one step further, you're women in a predominantly male field. So you're going to get challenged or maybe questioned even more. So Chrissy, I'll point that question to you. How have you kind of navigated situations where you felt maybe that you were being challenged a bit further or being questioned because, you were a woman in the position and not a man?
Sure. Well, I can definitely sympathize with Abby in that, well, if you can do it better, then why are you asking me, right? And so in my current role, I'm responsible for the whole state of Texas. And so I pretty much, last week I was at the Gulf, tomorrow I have to go out to West Texas. And so when I first came into this job, I was like, okay, so I'm going to have like 30 million people basically with lawns asking me questions about the wide variety of places in Texas. And I was like, okay, well, number one, I have to tell myself I don't know everything, right? I can't know everything. Everybody's going to expect me to know everything. And then they're going to see that I'm a, mid-30s female coming into, this rural county in Texas trying to tell them what to do. And so, I some of the other advice that some of the other folks have given, you just have to be confident and say, look, I'm confident in my abilities. I have went to school for this for 8 years. I at least know what I'm talking about. And if someone asks me a question, hey, if I don't know it, I'm not going to BS. I'm going to say, look, I don't know the answer to that question right now. I can find out. But, you know, if I paid attention to all the snarky comments that I got during my role, then I don't think any of us would be where we are right now. You know, some of those are to your face. Some of those are behind your back. And so you just have to say, I'm going to let that roll off my sleeve, because I could spend all of my time focusing on what people say about us instead of doing my job. So, you know, I think we just have to learn to be confident in ourselves and say, hey, we're going to mess up. And remember, it's just grass, right? We said that, but it's not just grass to us, right? It's our livelihood. And so we'll do the best we can, and just hope that we make a big impact with what we're doing. And there's always going to be some negative folks that say, we don't really want you in this industry. We're going to have to rely on the people who support us through this industry. So
That was great insight. I really appreciate that. So Maureen, I'm going to tack you with the next question. As a student currently in the classroom, is it reflecting the same thing we're seeing out in the industry, where you're a minority as a woman in turf, or do you have a lot of female, you know, students as well in the classroom with you?
Yeah, okay. When you asked that, I was just thinking of the like turf-oriented classes that I've taken, and for sure, I've been the only woman, and also the only Black person, and also mostly the only international student to be in that kind of a class. But for some reason, it doesn't deter me. It's just I feel like you're adding to the sauce, let me call it that, because for instance, I have experience with tropical grasses a lot, and most of the other people who will be in the class have maybe experience with temperate grasses. So you contribute. As long as you're bringing your contribution, it doesn't really matter whether you're a minority, whether you're a woman, or you're or wherever you come from. It's all about what's maybe what's in your mind, or yeah, just go ahead. And even if I'm just by myself, it doesn't really bother me. Let me just say that.
Wow, that was a beautiful perspective. It put a smile on my face. And I love that perspective of, you know, no matter how you're coming to the table, it really matters what you're bringing to the table, and kind of adding to the sauce, as you said. That was really wonderful. So thank you for that. So, you know, you're a student that is you came kind of from working within the field, and now you're going to be looking to join the field again after graduation. What route are you looking to take? What does your kind of 5-year plan look like as a student who's now looking to enter the turfgrass industry again?
I have to say, this is something that I've had this battle in my mind for like the last 2-3 months, because I'm about to finish my master's in December, and I really want to do research, but I also really miss the industry. So honestly, it's gonna be either of the two. I'm either going to go into my PhD and focus on turfgrass diseases like I have with my master's, or I might get into the industry, and mostly I'm looking at chemical companies, because I've been working with diseases and fungicides and all that. So it's either one of the two. I cannot say for sure which one it is.
Well, you're just an example of, you know, how many opportunities are available in the turfgrass industry. You know, there's so many routes that if somebody leaves high school and, you know, declares a major, there's so many majors that it's one track, and then it only results in one job, and the field may only have 30% placement. There are so many opportunities and so many different ways that females can, you know, take the knowledge that they gain through training or education and kind of, you know, find a home within the turfgrass industry. So, and you're just a beautiful example of that.
Yeah, if I may add, I have found it very helpful to do informational interviews with different people within the turfgrass industry, but in very different, that took very different paths. Some had their PhD, some just had a 2-year associates, others they're bachelors, and they're all in success. So doing informational interviews have really helped me see the various opportunities that are out there. There's even environmental management, but within the Turfgrass industry, which I never really knew of its existence. So there is a lot, just to echo what you said.
And just an iteration of just putting yourself out there and, relying on the resources that are available for sure. So another topic I really want to get into is kind of work-life balance. It's an overall issue or problem or challenge in the groundskeeping industry. But take it one step further, and you're not only the leader of the pack or someone on the crew, but you're also the leader of the pack at home as a mother or as a partner. And kind of, how do you guys all balance that work life, in this industry? And Sun, I'll let you take that first if that's not too much of a curveball question.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not a mom to human children, but I have for babies for sure. So I can't really speak to that part, but I will say that, early in my career, I was 1,000,000% dedicated to my work. I would stay after hours. I would come in on weekends when I didn't need to be here. Like, I was here doing everything I possibly could all the time. And, it was just way too much. So I think it's just super important to find one or two things outside of work that fill your cup, that fill your peanut butter jar. For those of you who know Kelly Lynch, and she speaks about that. She has a great talk about that. But to fill your peanut butter jar outside of work, whether it's, for me, it's live music. I love to go to concerts. I love to go camping. I love to go paddle boarding. So those are kind of three really big things that, for me, when I'm outside of work, rejuvenate me. And then I'm ready to give more when I'm back at work, because I'm not feeling as burnt out. So I'll let somebody else take the mom piece.
Well, and that is just like such a simple practice that can be so hard to follow, is, really take that time to reset, take time to invest in the things that, inspire you on the other end. But it really, it becomes so important when you're not only juggling, the job and the responsibilities and the leadership of those roles, but also, what's going on at home. So Abby, I would love to pose the same question to you if you'd like to take a stab at it.
I can certainly approach it from being a mom of twins. I think up until being a mom, my career taught me how to be able to manage when I became a mom. My biggest thing that I've done is I've shared my career with my kids. They have grown up knowing how passionate I am about what I do, no matter where I do it. We took lots of trips to campus when I was at Wake Forest University, and it was who can pick up the most Gatorade cups, or hey, mom's got to mow the soccer field on a Sunday, and they got to ride on the mower with me, and then they got to run in a giant, I call it a playground. It was a giant soccer field while I was doing my job. I've been able to take them and share the opportunities that my career has given me. It's not as much fun coming to the city because they don't get to do as many fun things as they've been able to do going to big stadiums or seeing other people. When I've taken family trips, we stop and see somebody's field. I think a lot of people on this call or others in the industry do the same thing. They stop and see, the other turf people. I've taken them to see Nicole, and Nicole, you will not believe how tall they are right now. They make us both feel very short. So, they remember those trips. And so sharing the passion that I have with what this network does with my kids has just shown them, find something you like and just run with it and make the best out of it. And so that's, to me, how I manage that life-work balance, and just share it with them. The hard days just as much as the good days.
That's great advice. I love that. And Nicole, I'll pose the same question to you, because I love seeing you on social media. It's such a great blend of, what you guys have going on at the Orioles Stadium, but then also you're, at a little league game, or you're, taking your son to one of his baseball games. It's such a good mix of, the work and the life. So I'll let you answer that question as well.
Yeah, as a trash truck is dumping all the neighborhood trash, and my windows are open. But yeah, single mom to an 8-year-old, Tyson, he has pretty much grown up at the ballpark. His birthday is fittingly opening day for the Orioles. So you all can imagine my life pregnant throughout a season and then on maternity leave throughout half of a season. But we've done it. And I think my motto is that, Tyson deserves to see me work, and provide and to be happy doing it. There are days where work, is very difficult and tough, but at the end of the day, I love my job. And for him to see that on a daily basis, that, mom's work is important, I need to be at the field, but definitely going to be a lot of time spent with him, either if that's fishing for 10 hours straight or little league games or bringing him to the ballpark like Abby has done with her children. I need him to see me in that role because it's important, number one, for young men or young boys to see women in successful roles. And number two, to see that, mom has a great job and she loves doing it and she's kicking ass. So that's what I want him to see. And I'm going to do my best to do that. Even though it's challenging at times, you can be capable of doing it. One other thing I'd like to say is I have an awesome staff who get it, and that will always have my back. And I have a lot of trust in them to handle things when I'm not there. And that's I think the core of a solid team.
Definitely. And I will say you make it look so effortless. So you're definitely a beautiful example of, having it all. So I love that. So Chrissy, I'll ask you the next question. It's so clear, no matter who I talk to, whether it's someone in research, someone as, head of a crew or someone, just working this job as a passion, that it's so much more than a 9 to 5. How has this career really defined you as a person or kind of, played a role into who you are?
Sure. Well, as most of you know, I'm an academic and I have worked on a grounds crew before, and I just decided, hey, it might have been too much work for me. So I just had to go a different route. And I very look up to all of you that are in the turf management roles here in sports. But I think this has defined me because, I came from a very, very small town and always knew that I loved grass and I always knew I loved sports. And I was like, I'm going to do something one day in this field. And I think it's made me more confident. I think that, putting myself in this situation where I have to go out and talk to who knows who, right, when I go to these events and seminars, and it makes me, more confident in talking to people. And I really learned that when you meet someone where they are, they're much more likely to listen to you, right? And so, whether or not someone has ever managed a baseball field before, or if they spent 20 years managing the baseball field, it's made me learn how to relate to people. And so, nothing makes me happier than going to these seminars and talking in front of people and then them asking me questions afterwards, because I know that the research that not only we're doing at Texas A&M, but at other schools around the world are helping these people. And so, really making them understand, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why we spent 5 years looking at this one grass, and, and we're now able to use it in the industry. And so these are the things that can help you. And, I really do live and breathe this job. I love it. And I think that it's a great career for anybody who's interested.
So son, I'm gonna put you with the next question. Do you have any advice or just any aha moments for women who may find themselves as, the leader of the pack or someone who's kind of running the show? What leadership advice would you give them?
Oh boy. Well, I think somebody touched on it earlier about we still have so much to learn, right? And so we're never going to know every answer. We're never going to know even what the best advice is in every single moment, like what the exact right thing to say is. So I think to, keep learning, keep growing, and to, like Chrissy just said, you meet somebody where they are, right? To understand and have a relationship with a coworker or, somebody in your crew, and understand like, hey, they might be going through a really tough time and I may only know this much of it, but really they're going through this much, to always keep that in mind, I have to keep that in mind with like parents who come through the gate at a football game and they're upset for whatever reason. It's not about me. They've had a bad day at work or something else. Like it may be coming out at me, but it's not about me. So yeah, I think meeting people where they are, and then just always being willing to continue learning and growing, because we all have so much to learn still.
Definitely. And Abby, I'll ask you the same question. If for women who may find themselves as a leader of the pack, or even just a minority in the pack, what kind of leadership advice would you give them so that they're an example of, the best and brightest?
I can tell you the first thing that comes to mind is one that was hard for me to adapt to, and that's be yourself. Figure out who you are and be yourself. Find the confidence to make you shine, which is a big step for anybody to do, especially being a minority in this industry. We are all passionate about what we do. And if you just let that come out, you actually become more comfortable with it. And it's a tough balance, and it's a tough turning point to get to. I also think that it's okay to shut your door or go to your space and lose it. I mean, I think we get that emotional buildup that if we don't take time to lose it, we're only going to hurt everybody around us and being that leader. So be yourself. It's okay to find that outlet to do it and let it go. And to me, I always call it find your tribe. Find the people that you can do all of those things with, that they bring the best out in you, that you can lose it with, and that you can laugh and carry on, because in the end of the day, that'll rejuvenate you and bring more energy to you. And you can give that energy to your team and the people around you, whether it's your family or your team at work. So you kind of have to have that balance to do it all.
Of course. I love that. And then Chrissy, did you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I wanted to add to something that I see happen quite often with females in particular, whether or not they're in a leadership role or, they're part of a group. I see women sometimes, I don't want to say dumb themselves down, but maybe not respond as often, or, just wanting to be in the middle of a center of attention. And so something I say a lot of times is don't dim your light to let others shine brighter, just because maybe you're nervous of what somebody in the room is going to think, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But if you know the right answer, or you have an opinion, I think you should be confident enough, like Abby said, be yourself, be confident enough to share that opinion. Because sometimes you are the only woman in the room, right? And so you shouldn't let someone else take over just because you might feel insecure or something.
Definitely. And I can relate to that a lot. I grew up with 3 older brothers, and how I got my, anytime I needed attention, it was through humor and just kind of acting out as like a class clown, you'd say. And I've seen that transition into the workplace. Like I have a hard time being serious, and I really approach a lot of things with humor, because I'd rather be known as, the funny person than some of the things that women who are really serious and assertive get, tagged with. But then it's such a battle, because when I really do have an idea that I'm passionate about, or I want it to get across, and I want it to be taken seriously, it's always met with humor first, because that's just how they know how to receive me now. So I love that advice that, just be yourself and don't dim what you are trying to get across, or your light, just to fit into everyone else's kind of, agenda or whatever they have assigned to you. So that was a great add-on. I appreciate it. So Maureen, I'll bounce it back to you. Devin Carroll actually is the one who brought you to my attention. I don't know if you guys met through mentorship or as classmates, but I think both of you had a really great perspective, because you're both in the the education side right now. So what would you kind of say to like a young girl, whether high school or in college right now, who is looking to enter this field or pursue her education more? What would you really encourage her to do as she kind of navigates this industry?
So the first thing that I wish I knew, or maybe I should first say we've had the same advisor, myself and Devon. So that's how we got to know each other. We've worked together on a couple of things here and there. So anyway, the first thing I really wish I knew is that I am, or that young person, as you're getting into the industry, you're most likely as smart as everyone else in that industry. You just came in a little bit later. So there are some industry practices that you will have to learn, and of course pick up some jargon, and like you'll have to kind of get in there and learn from the people. Secondly, education is important, but it's not everything when you get into the industry. Therefore, respect everyone, because they might not have a degree or whatever you want to consider as high education, but they have maybe 30 years experience. And most times experience beats the education that we gain in school. And I'm saying that even as I try to pursue as much more education that I can get. And also, lastly, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. You get in. I think San said the first time she got into the business, she would stay late, go there on weekends, but you realize you have a life, and if you make that the precedence, it's going to become your life, and you won't have a life away from work, which is something I also struggled with. But I then became very intentional that my off day is my off day. The grass is going to continue to grow. I am not a surgeon that I'm leaving someone on the table. The grass is going to grow. You have staff. I learned this the hard way when I was a superintendent. You have ground staff. They know a lot. Mostly you found most of them there. It's not going to die simply because you're not there. So just take care of yourself, respect everyone. And one thing I like saying, keep it cool. When you're a minority in the industry, there are going to be many highs and there are going to be many, many lows. Please try to keep it cool. And like Abby said, it's okay. Try to keep it cool, then go and lose it elsewhere. Sometimes it's good to not explode on everyone. So just kind of keep it cool, then handle it by yourself or with your tribe, like she said.
I love that. So eloquently said. And it seems like you guys have even kind of learned something from each other today as well. So that's always a win.
Hands down, watching the sunrise every single morning. I'm someone, sunrises and sunsets, I think, are obviously a great open and closure to the day, but it's taking that second and watching the sun actually rise and listening to your breathing as that's happening. And it's very centering because you're no longer focusing on everything else that's going on around you, and you're taking a second for yourself in the middle of the craziness and just being in the moment.
So I have one last question, and I'm gonna pose it to all of you. So if you'll all take your separate turns answering it, but really maybe just share an aha moment that you've had as a woman in turf, or just one of those lessons that was really important for you to learn that you would want to share with somebody who's up and coming in the industry. And we'll start with Nicole.
Oh, that's such a tough one for me. I've had so many aha moments and so many, wow. that just happened moments. I guess the one aha moment was when I decided to move on from the Orioles and head up the minor leagues for a little while, and being there by myself and being able to, I guess, maintain and facilitate everything that I had to do. Like I had that moment like, I do know what I'm doing. Like it took that push out of the nest, you know what I mean? To like really own my own personal challenges in my career. So that was my one aha moment, I guess I would love to share with the group, that, I didn't think I could do it, but when I was finally in it, I was like, yep, I got this.
I love that. Son, I'll let you take it next.
Can you come back to me, please?
Yes, most definitely. Someone raise their hand if they're ready for that curveball question. Uh-oh. Chrissy, I'm gonna force you to answer the question.
Okay. All right. I guess during my career, my biggest aha moment was, because when you're in school, you kind of you learn, like, here's the textbook, here's what it is, here's how it goes. And once you get into research and extension and your daily job, regardless of what it is, what role you're in, you kind of learn that there's not always one answer, right? And so, everybody's situation is so different. Everybody's got a different arsenal to work with. We got a low budget course, we got a high budget course. It doesn't matter what, they could buy anything. And so one of my biggest aha moments was when I got into this job, I was like, man, I have to be very flexible. Number one, work with each individual situation. I can't just have like, oh, here's some bullet points, go for this. And so like we talked about earlier, meeting everybody where they are, working with them based on their situation, and just developing a plan that will work for them. And so I'll add on to that as well, is that now I can't remember what I was going to say. Okay, come back to me. If I can remember what I was going to add on, then I'll come back.
No problem. We all have such profound answers that's the hold up here. So Abby, I'm going to let you take it away.
I think like all of us, we have a lot of aha moments. I have one that is very, turf driven, and then I have one that's more probably personal and career driven. And the turf driven one was the moment that I accomplished something that I didn't think I could do. I didn't do it by myself, yet I had to wear the leader title to do it. It was the first time I was the head of a Major League Soccer stadium, but we held a wedding, a soccer game, and a concert in 36 hours. And it was unreal that I pulled that off. And I still look back at that aha moment for me, yet it became the norm. So we got to do it over and over again because we got too good at it. So, it's one of those aha moments, but I'd finally taken all of the textbook knowledge and the career knowledge at that point and the team knowledge of the staff that was around me, and we did it. It wasn't an Abby do, it was a we did it kind of moment. I think, having those moments of it, it's not about me, it's about my team, and it's us doing it together is more important to me. I look at the team that I have here in Denver, and we are building a group of sports turf managers that are giving back in an equitable fashion throughout our community. And the amount of passion that this group has is great, because we go in to make a difference. And that's kind of the philosophy I have with that team, my athletic team, and all of the teams I manage. We're going to go make a difference, whether it's internal or external, we're making a difference. So kind of switching from what I learned there to now, that's my aha moment is I feel like I am making an impact, and it's realizing I'm learning so much from you guys, like Maggie shared, that this is impacting me. My day is going to be, so energized. I'm going to run out of here and go do a bunch of great things for the moment. But it's knowing that you have a group of passionate people that are in it together. And that's what makes, to me, the sports turf group really, really thrive is, you can pick up a phone and talk it out with somebody, and they're going to be there for you. They're going to give you a good direction and a good guidance to go to. So it's knowing that we're all, I want my field to look as good as Nicole's, but she's going to be there if I have to pick up the phone and ask her, how do you get something done? And so we're there for each other. And that to me is the best career aha moment, is that we're all in it together. And there's always somebody that's going to answer the phone or be there for you.
100%. That's definitely my favorite thing as an outsider working with this industry, that you guys have never turned your back on me, or even, I don't think anyone's ever even said no. So I definitely benefit from the nature of the industry, acting out that way. So my gratitude as well. Maureen, I'll let you take a shot at that question.
So, like everyone else, of course, I've had a couple of, or many aha moments, but in my career in the golf course industry, when I was a superintendent, we were asked to host this pre-qualifier for part of the European tour like a week before it was supposed to happen, because the other hosting course had some issues. So I was scared, but my team came through and we did it well. And I realized, oh my God, you can do it. You guys can do it. Just planning, and it was really good. And I felt like, oh, I could stay in this industry forever. Let me give two. Another one is when I got into grad school, and then I loved the research, and I was like, gosh, this could be my career also. I mean, I love the industry a lot, but I also love this research. So, and that's why at this point I'm struggling to know which one to pick, because I love them so much. But those have been 2 points in my life where I felt like, wow, this is a good career and it could thrust me forward.
And last but not least, son, I'm gonna hit it back to you. Hopefully we gave you enough time.
Well, that's just it. There's been so many over my career, right? But I think, like Chrissy mentioned earlier, again, like I've been one of those people to dim my own light in the room, to be in the middle of the pack and not step forward and stand out. So, the first time that I did public speaking, which scares the heck out of me still to this day, but I survived and I actually had some good feedback. So I think it's that first time you step out of your comfort zone and you make it. Like, I'm still breathing, I'm still standing, I'm on my own 2 feet. That was maybe a big aha moment, because it carries over to, like, yes, I'll try this new product, because what's the worst that can happen? I can survive this. I've survived public speaking. I can survive killing some grass if that's what it comes to. But I think kind of gaining that little bit of confidence of like just stepping out a little bit more, stretching your comfort zone, and knowing that you're going to be fine and probably even better for it in the long run, because so many things have come back to me when I do step out and kind of put myself out there. So I guess that was my aha moment, that you're going to make it through.
And it was worth the wait. That was great. I loved it. And I really appreciate all of you guys joining us today. A lot of insight shared. And also I just, the goal of just advocating for the industry as a whole, I think was met. I really appreciate all the different avenues and journeys that you guys were able to share. And just in, the short hour that we've been together, my husband texted me to ask where his keys were. The babysitter told me that my son's pooped through 3 outfits, and I was still able to conduct this. So women really can do it all. So I really appreciate you guys joining us.